Hey guys, here is another tutorial about type, and um, I didn't put this out earlier because I thought it was kind of simple. You're modifying the type with layer styles over in the layer palette over here. But I hope you don't just do a block of color and put colored type on top of it, right? You need to experiment with bevel embossing, experiment with stroke. I've got a stroke here. Explore the tools, have fun, make up something cool. So in this case, I've used the type tool in its mask mode, right? And so if I look over here on my layer palette, this right here is where my type is coming from. You see where my cursor is floating around. You can see there's a layer mask right there. Right, that layer mask is what's creating this type, and the type is a photograph of green leaves, right? And what this layer mask is doing is masking out everything except for the layers and allowing this photograph of green leaves to come through. So if I right click on that layer mask, I can disable it, and once it's disabled, if it will work with me, please, come on. Go away. Okay. So I can disable that layer mask, and now you just have that photograph of green leaves, or my photograph of green leaves. So I've got that, and if I enable the layer mask once again, please. So then it's masking it out, and we see the green leaves through there, right? And I've got some effects on this layer. By the way, you can name layers as you make them, but you can also, if you haven't named them, if you double click on the names there, you can call them something, right? So I'm calling this text. And with something simple like this, it's not a big deal. But if you've got a project that's complex with dozens of layers, and there's text, and there are composited images and all that, organizing the layer menu is not a bad idea. It's with names, and you can even make folders down at the bottom. You see where my cursor is? There's a folder button. You can make folders. You could have, maybe you've got multiple text layers. You can put them all in that folder, right? So, um, anyway, so this layer has effects on it. The way you get to the effects is double click on that layer and you come up with layer style, right? In layer styles, you have all these options. You can do inner shadow, inner glow, satin, overlay. Some of these can enhance your image. Some of them can make it harder to read. So I've often seen students want to apply that drop shadow because it's kind of cool, or an outer glow, but sometimes that makes it more difficult to read. So it can look cool, but you also have to be sensitive to legibility, and actually what might be cool is the novelty of it, but in reality it may not enhance even the look of your design. So experiment with it and see what you come up with. But you might find out that you end up rejecting some of these additional things. But this definitely does have stroke on it. You can see the stroke is checked. And if I highlight the stroke, I can come in, I can change the color of the stroke. Right now it's this kind of mustard yellow look. So if I click on that, I come up with the color picker, and I can choose other colors to go with it. I'm going to leave it where it is. Okay, and you can change the size of the stroke. You can change whether it's inside the letter or whether the stroke is on the outside of the letter. And sometimes that matters. Let's check it out on the inside. And if I put it on the inside, I don't know if you just noticed that, but look between the E and this L. And you see that when the stroke is on the inside of the letter, I get some clearing between the stems up here of the two letters. So I put it on the outside, they're bumping up next to one another, right? So it's a different look. Maybe on the inside is a good thing, right? But in any case, play with layer styles, right? All these are great features to mess around with, right? Also, this type has been made with the mask type tool. Yeah. So, and that's, if you click on any of your tools that have a white triangle down at the bottom, there are multiple tools under there, right? Hopefully you know that now. You just hold and click. So the top two type tools are horizontal and vertical solid type, just like you're typing a color into a space. But the bottom two are, you're actually kind of typing selections, the crawling ants, right? And that will make a mask. Now, for me, I keep running into this buggy problem with Mavericks, you know. So, and I ran into this in class where I'm trying to type with the type tool. It should be creating a new layer whenever you type with the type tool. And what I found out is that it wasn't creating a new layer, even when I'm working with the solid type tool, like that horizontal type tool. And I had to manually create a new layer, make sure I had that layer selected, and then typed with that layer selected. So something's going on with the operating system, I think, because that hasn't happened to me until now, until it's one of these bugs. And I did a search for it, and it does seem to be a problem that's happening out there. So you might find yourself, when you're using the type tool, having to create a new layer to type on, if you know what I mean.